All right, so we are continuing. So with me, I'm just creating different projects, but it will be the same connection. So on your side, you still have what? You still have the class that we created for auto running the creation of the instance, database, and also the tables. And our instance name last time it was claim underscore system, and the database it was claims underscore database. So we're going to connect to the same database and then also manage to do to use the same tables, which is users and also claims. So on this one, we're going to create a register form, and then after the register form, we'll do the login form. So on this one, it's all about showing you how you can uh, insert information to the table, and also about to check or to retrieve information from the table. So just name mine example underscore login. So make sure it is MVC, which is this one here. As you can see, it is a ASP.NET Core Web App Model View Controller. That's the one that we are using. Then you just click next, and then on this one you don't change anything, as I said before. So while it is busy creating the project, thing that you have to check is what your columns, how many columns you have, and also which one it will be collected from the form when the user enter the details, and which one it will be auto uh, generated by the system, such as date will be from the system, you see, and also such as id will be incremented from when you insert your information. So the first user was ID number one, the second one ID number two, the third one ID number three. So if I register another user, I don't put the ID will be auto generated or what incremented. So we use the identity. So the incrementation number is one by one. It means if we have the first one, then we have the second one. If we have the second one, it means the following user will be the third one, and then the next user will be the fourth one. So these are the things that you have to be careful with. So let's just create our register form since the project that is done creating. So as I said, before you do anything on your application, if it's a new project that you created, you must install the package. You click or right click on the project name, and then you look for manage NuGet, and then you go there and you click on browse. When you click on browse, you say system dot data dot SQL client. So this is the first one that I'm going to use, and then I will install it. And I say that you have to accept whatever error pop up, don't decline. If it asks you to apply changes, then apply changes. Don't also decline or refuse. Then now it is done. I can close this. So since I'm going to code, I will just go to the underscore layout to remove whatever will be there, but leave the end render body. so that I can have control of whatever I'll be doing. Here, I don't want to use any style that is found inside the template. So we know the templates, they come with code most of the time. So if you prepare to you prefer to use if you prefer to use the style scripts that are what found on the template, you can use them. But if you don't prefer to use them, then you remove, then you will create your own CSS script. And then we are also going to make use of the index, which is this one. I'll just remove everything. As I mentioned, templates, they come with code. So if you don't want to use the code that you find there, or want to have control of whatever you'll be doing, then you remove the code. And then now, so the first model that you will have, you are adding on what you have actually. So the first model to have, it will be of string connection. So you just right click on the folder models and then new item, and I'm going to name this one string connection string, and then add. So make sure the format is .cs so that can be a C# class. And then now on this one I'm going to do to create a method that will return the connection string all the time. So what I would do when I'm on another class or model, I will just create the instance and use the object name to call this method. So this one I'll just make it to be what public string, and then I'll just name it connect. And then now the error that is giving me is for what, for the return. And then what is it that I'm going to return? I'm going to return connection string. So here is the thing. Another thing is that it's either you start with the add annotations to avoid what, to avoid errors when you are using what symbols inside the double quotations. So if you don't use this one, you won't be able to use like signs inside, like special characters. So most of the time you will get the connection string, or if you go to ChatGPT to ask for assistance, it will give you like different ways of doing your connection string. And if you get errors, you don't know how to solve them, that will be the problem. But if you do get errors, just put the at sign, then it will solve everything. So right now we're going to do our connection string. You just say, okay, which server are we targeting? We're targeting the claim underscore system. And then you put your semicolon. After the semicolon, you specify the database. Our database, it is what, claims underscore database. So here is the thing that we have to be careful with is that this is a local DB. So we're dealing with local DB. So how does your SQL Server management connect? It uses this local what, local DB, and then close bracket, then slash. So now, since you have put this, it means you are communicating with the local server now, and you are opening which server, which is claim underscore system. So if this part is not there, this one, it's going to give you an error. So make sure this part there is there, and also one slash here is what, it is there. So here is the thing. So if it happens that you remove this, you're going to have an error. It means you can use what, double slash. You see, it will change the color. So the reason why I said starting with the at sign will minimize a lot of errors is that you will forget to put what, to put double slash, but put what, one slash. This is different from when you copy the connection string and paste it. When you paste it, it will automatically put what, automatically put the slash, both of them. But if you type it and you forget to put the second slash, it won't solve the problem. But how do you prevent such? You are going to start with your what, at sign, which is what, the annotation. So everything will be solved. So now here is the thing. The server that we are targeting, it's a local DB, and as it is a local DB, we have an instance, which is what our server, which is claim underscore system, and thereafter we close or terminate the statement here by the semicolon. Then again we specify the database, which database are we targeting, that is what claims underscore database. You see. So now, since we are done with this, we just uh, going to call this method on whatever model that we'll be working with to connect to the database. And another thing is that for you to be able to do to reduce redundancy, if you're going to use one class, you can just declare the connection string at the top. Declare it as a global variable. It's either you protect it by say what private string, then connection, then you assign with the connection string so that you can use it in that very same class. But if you prefer to separate it so that when you have an error, you just know, okay, this is where you have the connection string. You won't have to go each and every class. That will be fine also. And then the second model that we are going to have is what a register model. So just create a new one here. So another thing, let's be careful with the formats here. So just name this one register. Okay, so this one here is our model, which is what the register. So this is our class. So in this class, we're going to have properties. So our properties, will just make sure that there are three of them. Our properties will just make sure that there are three of them. So reason there are three is the following. I will be using whatever I'll collect here as an example, not the whole thing. So what I would do, I would just collect and what is it? Names, email, and then role. You see, I'll just collect names, email, and role. It's just to show you based on okay, how can you collect from the drop down or from the select tag. So remember, these things have to be required. So we have to use the data annotation, which is what required. So you're going to put required inside the square brackets. So it will be like this. So if it gives you an error, you have to point or click on what required and then point, and it will pop up the bubble, and then click on the bubble. You select the first one, which is what the component model dot data annotations, and then you will import the annotation package, and thereafter you just have to make them public for the access modifier so that it can be used with what with our view or be a reference to our view so that we'll be able to bind them. So they have to carry whatever the user entered. They have to carry all the values that the user have entered in the form. So this one will be public string. So these will be what will be the names, and then just get and then just set. And thereafter we'll also do for what we'll also do for what for the role, public string role, and then also for the set. And then going forward also do for the email. So now we have our three properties. For the rest of what the columns that we have here, I will just put them manually so that it can insert successfully. But the part of like putting the rest here of the properties, it is for you. So what I will do now is that I have to go to the view, which is what index. So just open the index, and when I open the index, the first thing first that I have to do to create an instance. To create an instance, you have to start with the at sign, and then you use what the small letters more than, and then the namespace. Namespace is the name of the project. Then I'll just say example underscore login dot. What is it that I'm targeting? That is what models folder, and then inside the models folder, I have register, which is something that I am working with. And then now I'm going to create my form. So the first thing that you have to be careful or to look at is that you have the opening tag and the closing tag of the form, which is something that now I have created. And then on the opening tag, just going to do to reference the action method. So it will be ASP action, and then I'll just target index because I'm on the index now. I'll use index as what as the login page. So now by the time the user clicks submit, it will target the action method of index. So it means we have the get and the post. So the get will prepare the form, and then the post will just submit the information to the backend or to the server. So now after specifying the action method, I have to specify the method. The type of method I want to use a response because I want to send information to the backend. So there is this thing that we have to be careful about, encryption type. So for the encryption type is that we have to use the multi part and form data. So if you don't use this one, it means you won't be able to collect information from the select tag. Remember, you have to ask for the role, maybe for the gender or for whatever you plan to as the user. But as long as it drop down, it won't be able to collect it. It will submit, but it will submit as what empty values based on what the select tag. So also for the form of sorry, also for the document that you have to upload, we're going to use the encryption type of multipart and form data so that it will be submitting the document successfully. If you don't use it, it won't submit the document. And then now the first input that we are going to have, that will be for the names. And then the type of the input we want, it will be a text one. And then also for the ASP, which will be for the binding, that will be for names, this one that we want. So make sure that whatever you call to bind here based on the property. So this is a property. So the property is from what register. So if I call something else which is not names and it's not found here, it will give me an error. What I'm talking about, something like this, I'll just put name, and then placeholder. So you just enter name, then just close it. So here is the thing, name it is not there. Sorry for here. So name it is what it is not there, it will give me an error. But if I change it to names, because the property names it is there, it won't give me an error. And then now I have to do that for the require to show the error. Don't use a p tag or like a list or for like a div. Just use this one. So if you use the other one, it's going to give you an error or give you a problem. It will be ASP, which is what for the validation, and we are binding forward for the names, which is what the property that we already have. And then our second input that we are going to have will be for the name, for the email, the type of the input, that will be email, and then the ASP4, it will be what, email. So as you type it will pop up. If it doesn't take time to pop up, it will pop up, and that is more of like guiding you. Oh, this thing it is there, the property it is there on what the register, which is this one here. And then going forward, just put our placeholder, and then just say enter email, then validate, and then will be ASP validation for email. Then now for the last one, which is what the select one. So this is the one that I was talking about. So if you have this one, and what happens is the following: it didn't use the encryption type of multipart or what form data. It doesn't matter if you select the correct rule, the rule won't be able to be displayed on the backend, or like when you submit it to be inserted to the table, it won't show, but it will just show something empty. So we have to include what the encryption type, and then after you select what the multipart or form data, and then the ASP for what is for the role, and then close it. So this is how it is. So inside here we just put options. So inside here we just put option, and then just say select card type. So on this one I will not put the value, and then just say option, and then value for this one just say okay, just say body, and then just say body type, and then have the third one. So here is the thing, these will be telling the user what to do. So they will be just selecting the card type, and after when they click, it will show the other two options, so they will select from these two other options. So now you just have to do the validation. So this is a guide, it's not the exact thing, but this is a guide of how can you bind, and how are you going to receive them, to insert them to what, to your table, when the user is registering, and also when the user logs in. Then now I'm going to validate for this one, ASP validation for the role, and then the last thing here is what the button. I'll just say register now. Okay, so once you are sure that you are done with your form, what you have to do is to go to your controller. So since here for the action method we are targeting index, it means you're going to have action method for the get and also for the post. This means we are going to have two of them. So the first one is for preparing the form on the index, or on the index view page, and then the second one is for making sure that by the time they click the register button here, it gets to submit the information and send to the backend, or to the server side. And then I'm going to expand controllers folder, and then target home controller, and then I'm going to look for the index, which is this one. So for you, we have already called the initialize system method, which is also creating the instance, also creating the database, and also the tables. You don't remove that, so that will stay on the get method. You don't put it on the post method, that will stay on the get method. So now On that one, what you do, you just go there and then you add http get. So this will prepare what will prepare the form. And then again, what I will have is the http post one for what, for the public access modifier I action result index, and then open bracket close bracket and then calibrations. So what you do on the second one, inside what, inside the brackets, you pass the name of what, the name of the model. Our name of the model is what, register, and then you give it an object name which will be user, because we register in the user. Only error that is showing now is for what, for the return. We are returning a view. You must return the view with the object name, so that if you have errors, it will show the errors on the web page. Maybe the user uh have entered the details, but it failed to register the user. It must show the error, right? And also maybe they submit the form without entering anything, and must return what the error message is to the user. So now, the first thing first that we have to do is to validate if indeed whatever we are entering into the form is getting to be what, to be displayed on the post one, because if nothing is getting to be displayed on the post one, it means it is not sending information to the backend or what, to the server. So what we are going to do now is that we're going to display whatever the user gets to enter, and then just console.write line. What you do, you use the object name to access whatever it is on what, on the model or on the class register there, which is what, our properties. So we have already binded our properties to carry what the user enters. So now we have names, and then we also have a role, sorry, and then email. So now, how can I see this? I can only see this on the terminal that pops up when I run the project. That's how I can see this. So now just run it and then try to submit, and then also uh try to enter something and see if it will be displaying whatever I get to enter on the phone. So let's just run it. So the terminal popped up, which is this one here. So now the project is running. So yours here, it will still be writing that thing of maybe if the claim underscore system is found or not found, then create. The database is not found, create. If table is not found, create. So it will be still doing the same thing. So with me, it's just that I created a new project, and then let's see on the web browser. So this is what we have here. So this is what we have. So what happens is that when the user just try to do to submit without entering anything, and have to display the message of this is required and this is required, and that will be your job to make sure that it shows. It is validated, but is that it is not showing there. And then here, if you check on this one, it's only showing this, which is what select card type, which is this one here. So to show you based on this, to just show you a guide based on what I was talking about, you are going to do it to make sure that it choose the message. You just go there and then put value, and then on the value, just going to apply my changes and then reload and then submit. Let's wait for it to reload. Let me just run it. So now, before it was showing select card type, right? So now when I click on register and then just go to terminal, so it will be only empty values. So this is what it is doing. So there is the thing, it is validating. But now, what I want you to do is that by the time you do your ASP validation and also including what the select, eh, as we have done it in class, you must make it to show the messages by the time that they click the submit button or the register button without inserting any values or without selecting the role or whatever you'll be asking them to select. That is your job to do. Okay. So another thing is that right now we're going to enter something. Just going to enter something and then select, just say booty type, and then submit. So the information is submitted will have to show here. So the body type I selected body, and then email is this one, and then part, and then the name is this one. So remember, at first time it was just empty, and then this time here it is what it is showing the details that I entered on the form. So it means it is sending the information to the server or to the backend side. But right now it's a matter of how do we collect it to get to be inserted into to our table. So we are going to do that. But before we go and do that, we have to validate also using what a model state. A model state is a Boolean function or method that checks if all the requirements that we have set on what on our model are met, such as our register. So we required for what, for the name, required for the role, required for the email. So if none of them are met, it won't be able to submit the information. But now it is able to do to display because we didn't even check anything. So what will happen is that now we are going to use a if statement to check for what, to check for all the requirements that we have set, or all the rules that we have set on our model register. So it will be an if model state that is valid. So now what will happen is that I will move this to this side, and then on this one I will have my else message. You will make a plan, or you will use what, a view back, as we have done it in class, to return this message to the form to show the user that all the fields are what it requires. So just use the console.write line, and then just put our message there. All our text field are required. So let me just fix, and then now I'll just run it again. So now here is the thing. If it is what it is not matching with our rules here, it won't show this part. But if all the conditions are met based on the required, it means it will show the details. This means as long as the user have filled the form on all the fields, it will submit the information. But if the user means like email or something, it will just say this message here. Now we're just going to run it, and then we see what happens or what it shows. Oh, sorry. Now I just click submit, and I click submit. So you see here it's showing this message: all text fields are required, which is a message that we have put on the else statement based on checking if the conditions are on the model are met, which is what the register model. And then now I will just enter something like my name, and then click register again, then return to this, and then still you see it says what all text fields are required. But before it was not doing that because we're not using the model state to check if all are met, if all the conditions are met. So to return this message to the form, you use your view bag, and then just display to the form that all the text fields are what required. And also to just auto show the message, that will be up to you based on how you are taught in class, if you are attending, of course. And then now we are going to submit the information to the backend. So it means the next thing that we have to do is to create a method that will receive all the details as what as parameters, and from there we insert into our table. Okay, so this is what you're going to do on our register table. Sorry, on our register class, we are going to create a method that will accept all these properties as parameters from what, from that side, or we can just use these ones. But here is the thing, a better practice is that we pass them as parameters and then we insert them into the table. So we're going to create a method that will be responsible for what, for the insert of the user's information when they register. So for the access modifier, it will be public, and then we just say string, then register underscore user, and then just So now on this one, we just say, okay, the first thing that we're gonna pass there is the name, the second thing that is the email, and then the last thing that will be the role. Now, here is the thing. We have a what? We have a model which is what connection string. So now we have to create an instance for what? For the connection string model or class, and then we give it what? An object name. Just say connect string, and then continue connection string, and then close it. So we are going to use this connect string to do what? To call the method that is returning the connection string from this class, which is what? Connection string. So now, before you do everything here, or before you do whatever you will want to do, you must make sure that you have your error handling, which is what? Try and catch. And thereafter, you do your catch. Your catch also have two calibrations, which is open and close, and then this one now will be for the exception, and then our object name it will be error, and then we just use our console for debugging dot write line write line, and then it will be error dot message. So we're looking for this. So by the time it throws an error, it will tell us what is the problem here on this one. So only thing that is looking for is for the return. So what we can do here is that we will have a temporal variable that we can say it's a message, and then just say no. We assign it to no. So if the user is not registered successfully, then it will be what? No. And we are going to return it here. So no means the user is not registered successfully. So what is it that we are going to use? We are going to use the using function, and after inside the brackets we're going to use the SQL connection to connect, and after connecting we open the connection. After opening the connection we run whatever command we want to run. So now just say connect, and thereafter this is an instance actually, and then open bracket close bracket, and then inside we just call what? Our object name connect string, and then with the dot operator for what? For the connect method, open bracket close bracket. So it is like this. So what you must make sure that you have after doing this, you have what? Two extra closing brackets beside this one here, and thereafter we go inside. So when we go inside here, we're going to open the connection. So we are going to use the object name connect with a dot operator open, and then we open our connection just like that. After opening the connection, just go down and then connect again, which is the object name, then you close the connection. So within these two, it's where now we are going to do what? To put our second using. You remember nested loops, nested if statements. So an if statement inside another if statement. So those are based on nested. So now on this one, it's where now we are going to do like the command one. But before we do that, we have to make sure that we have a query. We have what? We have a SQL command, those things of like select all from table this, or insert into a table this, then values, such things. But how do we do that? So this is what you would do. You will declare a string or a string variable, and then you just name a query. And then you start with your add annotation, and then after you close it. Now you're going to say insert into users, which is what the name of the table. And then you just say values, open bracket, close bracket. Now, if we go and look at our columns, we have the first one there, which is what the ID. I said the ID is what auto generated, and then we have full name, we have full names, we have what is it, surname, email, role, gender, password, and date. So all of these are what are strings based on how I see them. So which means we are just going to do we are just going to exclude the ID one, but insert the other one, because the ID will be always there, generated or auto generated. So now the first one, which is what the name, we have to pass a variable. You're going to put single quotations. After single quotations, you're going to um, go inside the single quotations, and then you put double quotations. They will change color, and then you go inside the double quotations, you put two double concatenation signs, which is plus plus, and then you pass the variable name. The error will be gone. Again, after the single quotation, you're going to put what, a comma to separate them. You repeat the same process, which will be what, for the surname. So since we don't have, or we didn't pass a variable for the surname, I'm just going to put my surname on it, and then again on this one. So for the surnames and other stuff, it is for you. You will collect it from the form. So on this one, I'm just giving you an example on how to do what, how to call the values, or what is it, the variables, when you're collecting the user's information to insert. And then this one, which is what, the third one, I think the third one is an email. After the email, it is the role. We have these two. So I'll just repeat the same process, single quotations, inside the single quotations, double quotations, and then after that, inside the double quotations, plus plus, which is on concatenation, and then I'll just say email. And then after the single quotations, I'm going to repeat the same thing, single quotations, and then inside the single quotation, double quotations, inside the double quotation, concatenation sign, which is plus plus, and then I'm going to pass the role variable. After that, I'm just going to put single quotations. It's for the password. I just say my password is 1234556, and thereafter, sorry, it's the gender, and then will be the same thing, the single quotations and then comma. Then I just say male, and after that, there will be the date. I'll just copy this date here. Then I just put a comma after the password, and then single quotations, and then paste the date. there after semicolon, after that bracket. So this is how it's going to be. So it doesn't matter based on how you have yours. So if you have a number, you don't put single quotations. So it's the same rules that were on the SQL Server Management when you were doing your assignment and also when you were doing your test. So here is the thing. If I remove the at sign, you see, everything is was still normal. But here is the thing. If it happens that I skip the line, just continue it and it's going to give me an error. But if it happens that okay, I put the add sign, it won't give me an error by the time I run it. So let me just return it to how it was. Start with your add annotation to avoid errors and don't put spaces where not required. Don't decorate where not required to decorate. And then now we go to our using. So in our using, we're going to use SQL command. So we just want it to execute the query that we have. So there's that thing of like one row affected, two rows affected, or like uh 3, 4, 5 rows affected. So it doesn't need to return anything on its own. So right now we're not collecting, we're just doing what commanding. This is something that we want it to be done, and as it is done, we don't want anything to be returned. So we don't want to view whatever the user have entered at the same time. So how do we do it on the login one, on how do we search, and also how do we get to collect the user's information. And thereafter will be SQL command, and then we just say execute query for the object name, then be new command. So this one, it takes two parameters, which is what the query, what you want it to perform, and also what the object name of the connection, which is what connect. And then inside you're going to do, you're going to say okay, execute query dot execute non-query. So that will be what a non-query. It's a function, must have what method, open bracket and close bracket at the end. And then now you're going to use the very same temporal variable, which is message, to what, to yes, to yes. And then after doing this, you will return to your controller to call this method register. As you can see here, the first thing is what, it's our instance. After instance, it's our temporal variable. We have our try and catch. We have our first using for the instance of the connection, and then we open the connection here, and here we write the query. After writing the query, we have our another using, which is what now nested, and thereafter we have our instance inside the using, and then we have our object name execute query that we using to do to execute this query here. And thereafter we change the status of the message to yes, and then we close the connection after. And now we catching the error, which is what the exception with the object name error, and we display the error message if indeed we're going to have the error. You never know. And then we're going back to the controller. So this is where we are. So on this one, we're going to say if else, just say fail to register the user, and then inside the if brackets we're going to use the object name user, which will be dot. We are looking for the method register, so it have it is taking three parameters, which is what the first one name, and the second one email, and the third one the role. Then now just say as long as it's equal to what, yes, then just say user registered. You can also make it to open another view if they have registered successful, to take them to like login page. How do you do that? I'll just put this as a comment. So you just say return, and then it will be redirect to action, and then you put a name of the page that you want them to go to. Let's say it's login, then it will take the user to login after showing the message. And then let's just cancel this one, and then let's run it now just to see how it's gonna work. So we just put the details and choose the part. Okay, so now as you can see here, this is the fourth user, so it have inserted the information successfully. So in order for me to see this, I can see it from here. So it says what the user registered. So this information now it is inside the database. Now it is like this. Another thing, you will have to check if the user have registered before or not. So it means you won't have the user with like same email address. You will not have the user with the same email address. Let me just do this. So what you will not have is the user with the same email address. So if you check here, we have number user ID number 5. So it's the same details. So your application must do what, must check if the user have registered before or not.